Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today, we are going to be discussing my top 32 finish over at the Atlantic City Regional Championships. And before I begin, I know you're going to immediately notice that the Tina was not in my list. And you might be thinking, hey, Rahul, you played 3 Acrobike. But I'm going to get to that because the Tina was in my list for about 12 rounds, and not 12 rounds, about 10 rounds until it was removed due to some deck list shenanigans issues. I'll get to that story. That'll be for the day 2 story. So if you want to stick around for that, you can. I'll put a timestamp maybe in the bottom. If not, just like hang out, skip around the video, figure it out. So, if you guys didn't know, for those of you who've been following me and watching my streams and stuff, I've been a fan of Mew 3 recently. The 300 damage Zard has really put it over the top for me, and the deck has been working like a charm. I've been an advocate of Palpad over Mind Report, and I've been playing, Muck Muck and all these cards. So, leading into the event, the Muck Muck is primarily to deal with the Blacephalon matchup and the Guardian matchup, but a lot of the Guardians were kind of, the secret is out there, people are figuring it out. It wasn't feeling as good. So I was testing a Lysander Labs, I was testing a Faba, I was testing the Jirachi Stellarish version with the escape boards and like all this stuff. And like at the end of the day, I was feeling like maybe there's a concrete answer. And my concrete answer ended up becoming Reshiram Charizard GX plus this card was supposed to be a Turtonator. It was going to be a Turtonator, and the answer was going to be that I go into Double Blaze first, and then I move into the Turtonator, having the energies on the board, using another Welder to get that play off. Now, in theory, this seemed really, really cool, and the Turtonator seemed really, really good, but then in practice, it was just, the Turtonator didn't do anything. Because of my low energy count, I'm only playing the 8 fires, and all this other stuff, it just felt like I wasn't getting anything not nearly like off enough. So I had a Turtonator and a resetting hole, and the resetting hole slot was also going to be a Lysander Labs maybe, and I cut the 2 of those for the 2 reset stamps that you see here because I think the reset stamps were invaluable to play. They were just a really good card. A lot of games came down to the wire with this deck, and having the tempo to just kind of set your opponent back and make them whiff a turn was really instrumental to just checkmating them in a sense. So you guys have seen the list. You know almost all these cards. I chose to play Mind Report because of not playing the Turtonator and the Marsh Shadow. That opens up 2 more bench slots, and having the Mewtwo plus the Acrobikes or Gears or whatever is good. Maybe Palpad is better. I'm not entirely sure still. I mean, I did open this guy a hell of a lot. So, like, at the end of the day, I do think Palpad would have been better for me. But that's just recency bias, and that's not something I can necessarily say is a good call per se. So without further ado, let's get into the tournament report. So I get to the event. I'm a little tired. It's been a long night. Whatever. I'm not second guessing the deck at all, but I'm just second guessing playing the Tina because I made that change at like 7:58 a.m. on the drive there. I cut an Acrobike for a Tina, and that's like the only change I made. And I'm just like, maybe Tina wasn't worth the slot. Maybe the third Acrobike is better. Maybe like I'm just gonna open this guy and like feel really bad about it with only 2 switch in the deck, and like that's gonna be my downfall. So all the like last minute thoughts are going through my head. Everything that like I don't want to think about before the event is coming into my head. So round 1, I go up against a Dark Box deck. My opponent opens like Poi Pole Ditto, so I have no idea what I'm up against. But I like instantly go grip the Wob to stifle his setup, and it's going pretty decent. And game 1 ends up actually going to my opponent because we're both at 2 prizes, and I'm sitting here going, he's down 3 custom catchers. There's no way he kills anything this turn. I can't lose the game. I don't need to get Jirachi because Turning Point isn't relevant. In my mind, I'm thinking about all the scenarios, and then my opponent ends up going Treasure for Mew 3 and then kills me with Mew 3, and I was like, okay, this was something I did not see coming. I did not have any indication Mew 3 was in this deck. Whatever. Games 2 and 3, knowing that was in the deck, I was able to simply just play around it to get the Jirachi, deal with Turning Point, basically just take out what the problems were for me, and I was able to use Big Boy for 300 to take a lot of prizes and, win the game. Tag Purge bought me a lot of time, and then after that, once time is bought, you can snipe it to Dene or something with Venom Shot, and you can just close out the game. So it was a 2-1 on my end, winning round 1. Round 2, I went up against Nagquag. The first round, my opponent opted to get a Ditto over a Wooper, so he had a Wooper and a Ditto and 3 Poi Pole. So I went straight for the Wob, did the same thing I normally do. I went first, so I had the turn 2 Venom Shot to knock out the Wooper, and then he benched another singular Wooper, and then I went Venom Shot it once again, and then he pushed up the Ditto, and I couldn't not knock it out. Like I couldn't go around it for some reason. Like, and he didn't bench any other Woopers, so I didn't care. I think at this point. So I pretty much just like powered up another Mewtwo with Turbo Strike and set up my board. And then he benched two Wooper at the same time, and I went Cross Divide, knocking them both out, um, putting the remaining six on a Poipole, and then the next turn I just Tina knocked it out once he killed my Mewtwo. So the game was like in my court from the beginning. Game two was a little more tricky because he got the Keldeos out and he was setting up perfectly. So I had to manually snipe two Quagsires or Woopers or whatever, and then I had to use Tina to two-shot a Keldeo. And then once that was done, I just went ahead and just sniped a Dedenne on his bench, and that was the game because he either didn't play Mew or never got it out, so it was a 2-0 in my favor. Going in round three, go up against a Blounds. Now, Blounds is not a good matchup for me. Game one, my opponent opened a Dedenne and was not setting up well, and things were just like going awry for him. I was just getting stuff off, I was popping off, I was doing what I had to do, and I just won the game pretty quickly. Game two, he's setting up near perfectly. Turn two, Mind Blow, knock out my Mew 3. I'm really scared now. Like, I'm not in a good spot in this game. I let him go down to one prize card, knock out his active Blacephalon to put him at 4, and stamp in the same turn. And then he pushes up something and then passes. And then I go, because he still has burst, and I'm like really scared about burst because I just lose the game if he bursts. So I'm thinking in my mind, should I clear vision maybe, blah, blah, blah. But like, I was like, no, I just kill the Blown. And if he has it, he has it, is what I said to myself. And then he only had one regular Naganadel in play and one of this guy, the Ultra Conversion one, and nothing else. So there's no space, nothing in play. So he goes Hearth, pass. And then I go stamp him back to one, double custom catcher. My hand's really big at this point. Double custom catcher, the Ultra Conversion, knock it out with Flare Strike. And then he brings up the Baby Naganadel, draws for turn, benches he benches a Heatran, I believe, and attaches to the Heatran and passes after he hearths. And then I go draw, and then at that point I have the other pair of custom catchers, so I bring it up and I knock it out. It was a super close game. I honestly thought I lost the whole time, but my double stamp actually came hugely in clutch and was the only reason I won that set. So I'm 3-0 heading into lunch. I'm feeling really good about my matchups. I'm feeling really good about the deck. So far, so good. So smooth. Everything is working fine. Round 4, I go against Ability Zord. Game 1, I'm bricking. So, Ability Zord sets up and rolls me. Whatever. Game 2, I set up and I roll him. 300 is really good. I went double custom catch with 300 on his target. And from there, it was just super easy. See, game 3, I have Tenardi in discard from early. And I have the SB on Deoxys. And so I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to go Welder this turn, find the Psychic, 6 energies, and I'm going to kill Dedenne and his Vulpix. Meaning he has nothing, no heat, like he had nothing going for him. Like the board was perfect for me, blah, blah, blah. I'm looking through my deck and I'm like, oh, and he opened Dedenne. So I'm like, okay, but like worst case, I'll just knock out this Dedenne and call it a day. I'm looking through my deck. I check for the SB Oxys. I have the SB Oxys. I grab it. And then I Viridian the SB Oxys. I'm looking through the deck. No Psychics. And I was like, oh no. And I check my discard. None of the discard. I'm like, oh no. So this is just not something that happened at all ever to me. So I'm just like, shh, yeah. And then I went ahead and just knocked out the active to Dedenne. He came up, attacked me with Heatran. No, he knocked me out with Heatran. But I started powering up the bench guy, so I went Welder to bench guy. I got a Psychic there, so I attached the Psychic. And I Flare Struck, I believe, to knock him out. And I stamped him to 3. Now fully having the Welder plus energy for Cross Divide the next turn to knock out 2 Jirachis he had on board. Because I'm at 2 prizes now. He throws up the Jirachi with the escape board, draws for turn, super excited, drops the Baby Blounds, goes Crystal, Welders, 2 to the Baby Blounds, draws the 3, goes second Crystal, draws the 3, discards 1 card, gets 2 more off the Hearth, and then it blows me up. And I was like, I lost. So that was quite unfortunate game 3, but what can you do about it? Nothing to be said there. Round 5, I go up against Mewtwo Mirror. And my opponent makes... he's playing the Muck. He doesn't really understand how to play the Mirror. I'm just tag purging while setting up this guy. I get the first hit off. I'm chilling. Everything's going well. I get the first knockout because he breaks tag purge lock at some point. And so I use the turn to just take the knockout. And then after he broke tag purge lock, I'm now allowed to play greedy and just snipe it to Dedenne and go from there. Because he had gone through so much of his deck. I knew he didn't play Stamp when he was down to like 8 cards in deck. And he was just trying not to let me Lava Flow because he was really scared. Or not Lava Flow, Burning Magma. Burning Magma GX. And then game two, I got the turn one tag purge with Latios, not with Mewtwo. And then I went in with Latios. I benched I remember I benched three Mewtwo's or something to like make sure I could attack with Latios. And then I did it, and he's like, I have one shot, and he went for the muck play, and I had to switch, and I just won. Because he thought he needed to make that play, but he didn't really need to. But you know, it is what it is. That's such is life. So I'm now 4-1. I'm up against Pikarom. Game one, I pretty much just roll him. It feels really good, smooth, easy. Game two, like we get the wall out, everything good. Game two, I have a really awkward mid game where he stamps me to 4. And I need like a custom energy, anything to just knock out his active and pretty much just like clean the Pika, and I have one prize left kind of thing. He has 6 kind of thing. I'm tag purging, so I'm big chillin'. And the 4 cards that you were like welder, like no energy, and I like drew for turn. I was like, okay. And then I went gear trying to find bills. Didn't find my bills. Yeah, basically that Thunder Mountain that he had in place stuck for like 4 turns, and I lost that game barely at the end. Because I didn't eventually knock out the Pikarom, but then he paralyzed me and it stuck, and I lost the game. The following game 3, Wob was down. Things were perfect, and my opponent just did not get to do anything because I got a super early tag purge onto the Pikarom and he never benched Chichu. So then I just went tag purge again, knock it, and then he benched I benched a second Pikarom to try to power that up and go for a tag ball play, I think, and then I just went double custom 300 per game. So that was pretty easy. Felt good. Round 7, I went up against teammate Isaiah Bradner. Playing Mewtwo Mirror, but he's playing the Jirachi version, so it is favored for me because there are liabilities on his board. Game 1, I went first, got the Mewtwo on bench, energy, welder, you know, like a good combo, Latios inactive. I'm chilling. I'm like, if he kills something, he'll kill Latios, it's fine. If he tag purchases it, I don't care. I can just figure it out from there. He goes into a Mewtwo, welder, attach, Dedenne, Acrobike, Cherish Ball, Treasure, Macargo, double custom catcher, knock out my Mewtwo, and I was like, yeah, let's go to game 2. Game 2, I win because I get the turn 2 300, and he has no response on board at all. Like, I get 300 with Jirachi in play, he can't do anything. Game 3, he opened Tina, I opened Mind Report, so we're sitting there playing chicken. He pitched 2 switches super early because he had to. So he has 1 switch left, and I know that for a fact. And I'm counting everything. He's down he's down all his welders. He's down Palpad. He's down all these resources at the end. I draw for turn. I'm looking at my deck. There's like a 10 card deck, and I'm like, I can get double custom because I have Dedenne plus Bills in deck. So I get double custom. I bring that up. He's out of switches at a certain point. To back it up, he got out of the active with a switch, his last switch, to knock out my guy. He went double custom catcher. Well, he went double custom catcher first, and then Dedenne for 6 out of like a 30 card deck. Hits the last switch, switches out. And so now I'm thinking in my head, you're completely out of resources. You have 1 ERS left. And so now I'm looking for the double custom I only have 2 customs left. I'm looking for the double custom to bring up the Tina and stick it for enough turns where I can just Burning Magma or just Burning Magma immediately after that. And I draw my card for turn. It's a custom, and I'm like, gosh, darn it. And then I don't have a gear or anything, so then I Acrobike. I look at my 2 cards. It's not what I need. And then I have to unfortunately just tag purging his double custom or something like that to end the game, and I was like, whatever, yeah. So that it is what it is. The mirror is a little bit. If both players play correctly, one person does have to get a little bit luckier. So it did happen. Whatever. Round 8, I went up against Greenzard. Game 1, I won. Game 2, he donked me because I had like a Dedenne pass turn, and he just double blazed me. Game 3 came down to me almost making a crucial mistake to lose because I said double blaze when I only had 2 fires attached. But instead I was allowed to use Lava Flow to take the knockout, so I wasn't in a bad spot, but I was in a really scary spot now because my energies on the active were just gone. And I was in a really, really tricky spot, but yeah, and then there's a part where like I was just tag purging and he set up 3 Volcanions to come in at me, and then I used since I had my GX left, I used Miraculous Duo to heal, and then I won pretty much from there. Close matchup. The 2 plants were really annoying for me. But yeah, I'm at 6-2, and now I'm considering doing ID or play because the next day is going to be a long day. And I chose to take the ID because I was against Blounds. I played against COD. I just want to play. I was just so tired. I was making mistakes. I wasn't playing nearly as well as I thought I was playing, so I just called it a day. Round 10, I show up. I am up against Nagquag, Alex Smetna. Alex did not show up. He was late by like 40 minutes because he thought it was like 8:30 call time or something like that, and he just like showed up and he was like, "It is what it is," and I'm like, "Okay." So Smetna got removed from the tournament or something like that, so they had to do a deck check for both of us to put him back. And this is where my story gets in. This is where the story gets in. I'm getting deck checked. I will not name names. Um, Deck check is going on, and they do my deck. They're taking a long time. In my mind, I'm thinking I play like a billion one-ofs. Maybe I have a dinged up sleeve. Maybe it like is something really important. Like, oops, like whatever, Like I'll just re-sleeve, call it a day. I brought like I have 2 packs of sleeves on myself at all times, so like I'm ready for this. Deck checker calls me over, tells me, "Is this a list you submitted with their really awful tournament program software and pairing software?" Um, and I'm like, "This list looks nothing like what I submitted. It's like two Latios, no SBOxis, like all these like jank cards, like no stamp, no Tina, like all this like completely different stuff." And I'm just like, pal pad still, like I'm like, this isn't my list. And um, they're like, "What changes like did you make to your list?" And I was like, "Well, I woke up this morning," and then the deck checker told me this list was submitted at 6:55 a.m. and I had my alarm set for 7, so I didn't even wake up till 6:55 or 7. Um, I I'm like getting a little bit irritated. I'm naturally, not a very irate person or anything of the sort. I'm not a hothead, but something is pushing my nerves. This is just like one of those things where they're like, "You need to play this deck list kind of thing. Like this is the problem. Like we have to fix it to this kind of thing." And I'm like, "No, I'm not playing the tournament without my best card. Like this is an outrage. Like this is not correct kind of thing." Um, and so I'm getting a little bit heated, and things are getting a little bit heated. And then I remembered that I sent a screenshot of my list to Sam at 7:47 a.m. in order before to finalize and double check everything. And so I was able to produce a screenshot with a timestamp showing that I did submit it. I got confirmation, blah blah blah. And then deck checker goes over the tournament software. People ask if there could be an error. Comes back and says if there's an error or something, I gotta confirm it. I need to get the head judge. And I said, "Yeah, please go get the head judge. I need to talk. I want to talk to the head judge. I don't want to continue this conversation right now without the head judge." Head judge comes over, talks to him, talks to me, talks to him, talks to me. That's the whole story. Like on both sides, the only fair way to do things, um, and decides that I am not someone who would make this kind of mistake. I am not someone who would submit like a 10 card different list to what I played. Yeah. So at this point, they decided to match my deck check me to the picture of my deck list, which I think is wildly one like this tournament software sucks. Like I'm just gonna tell you like straight up, like this tournament software sucked. Pairing sucked, deck list sucked. The fact that someone who has my pop ID and birthday can go in and change my deck at any moment in time is ridiculous. So I'm just gonna do paper deck list to the system because paper deck list apparently supersedes everything, which is also stupid in my opinion. So here we are. That all blows, and yeah. And so he's matching my deck list to deck. And I did make one change in between. That's where we're going to see this becoming a this because I made that change at like 7:55 on the car ride over. But that's not something I screenshotted and sent to Sam. That's something we were talking about on the car ride. And I said, "I'm making this change. Are you with me?" And he said he's not. So he stuck with what this is. So therefore, I was one card off. I was the one card differentiator. And that's where my penalty came in. And the deck checker also was like getting at me for like my Dedenne arts not being matching and like stuff like that to the list. And I'm just like, "Oh my God, this is so nitpicky." I'm getting like very upset. And the head judge was just like, "Go to your game. We'll deal with this." So I get to my game, awarded with a double prize penalty and like, like anything else could be escalated for the rest of the day. I'm like, sure, whatever. I lose game one because of the penalty. It's against Pikarom. Mostly because I could have set up a perfect tag purge lock, that kind of thing. But because of the penalty, double custom catcher lost me the game. Really unfortunate, but it is what it is. Game two, I win. Pikarom, super chill. Game three, Rowan it's a big road save and all. Top forward worlds last year in seniors. He has a really good start, and I opened Reshizard, which ended up becoming the liability at the end of the day because I had to turbo strike a couple times or like tag purge, and all the energies I had to put on the board ended up going on to Reshi and not my Mewtwo, and having my last fire prize meant I could not double blaze for the game because this guy was also prized, but it didn't matter because I needed to keep tag purging with this and make him break it, so I couldn't double blaze for game, which sucked because one fire was attached to it was like four fires and a psychic were attached to Reshi, and I was just like, I really wish that Psychic was a fire right now, kind of thing. So it is what it is. So I lose my game. I'm now eliminated from top eight mathematically, so I'm out, which is brutal. I knew that coming into day two, that I have to have a hot run to get there. So it is what it is. Round 12, I go up against Adler playing Pikarom. Game one is competitive. It's close, neck and neck. He stamps me to one with a 6 card deck. I draw for turn. It's the switch I need, but I had a Hearth, so I would thin and take a turn to chill. I had 2 turn lethal basically, but he had a third stamp. It was fine. Game two, it's a lot less competitive because he plays Zorora and all this stuff. But there's also the matchup where it took me this long to realize that Hoopa is an attacker and Pika that hurts me. And I was like, oh yeah, Hoopa's really, really annoying because I have to double tag purge it, the whole deal. So that was really annoying. But I ended up taking it because Adler plays Zorora, so there's a lot of free retreats and like just really annoying moves he had to make. Round 13, I go up against Guardian. And auto loss by all, like, it's bad. It's really bad. My opponent was not playing an optimalist, I felt like. He was not playing optimally either. He would go greens for a plant and, like, tools. But at that point, like, it just was, like, a little bit, like, too late. And he felt like he had a double custom to stall because he thought he would just lose if I had a counter stadium. But he could have greens for greens and a counter stadium because at that point, like, I'm probably going to win anyway because he brought up, like, a Dedenne. And I pretty much like donked him game one because he never ever chose to establish a second Guardy. He just felt like he was under the gun because I went turn one, put down Mewtwo, put 300 on it, and bench a Rush Sword. And I was like, okay, go. And I like at any point I could have just gone Welder again, double blaze, and he was really really scared of that for some reason. And then game two, he uber bricked like nothing, like actually nothing. Like I just won in like 5 minutes. Oh, and in between this game, the story gets better from earlier. We were mid-round deck checked. His deck came back in about a minute. It took mine 8 to get back here. So I just want to make that clear. I have both tables to my sides, left and right, can both confirm. As my opponent is like, I don't know why like my deck is back already, and I'm just like, listen here, man. It is a long story, but I'm sorry that we're getting deck checked right now. So it took 8 minutes to get my deck back. Sucked. Whatever. I had to change some sleeves out. That's okay. Not caught literally like 10 minutes ago when I played a round. Let's just yeah, whatever. I'm not salty at all. I am very salty if you didn't notice. So going to my last round, now I'm going to win it for top 16. And I'm joking around being like, we need to start a mosh pit fight. We need people to get DQ'd so I can get into top 8 because I'm just joking around with people. I don't actually mean it. So like, don't actually get into a fight, guys. So at this point, I'm up against Jason Anacarico, really good friend of mine, a really good player, I think. Day Worlds. Jason's playing Pika. Game one, I played super poorly. And like Jason had like a two card hand, so I was like just kind of playing a little bit disrespectfully and not just respecting the tag bolt. But then Jason ended up having a really big tag bolt play for the game that I didn't see coming with like his 2 card or 3 card hand being like tag switch energy or something like that. And I was just like, oh yeah, I didn't see that coming. And we were joking around half there. He was like, yeah, I just kind of was drawn into cards. And I was like, well, I guess this works out. So game two went in my favor, like super handedly, like the 3 Hana, everything was going really good. And then game three, I opened Dedenne. He opened Pika, he went attach pass. And I was like, oh, his hand probably sucks. And then I went draw. I looked at my hand and I was like, uh-oh, Welder for 1 fire, draw 3, pass. And he went energy, stadium, or stadium nav, hits heads, get the Thunder Mountain energy. And I was like, yeah, you got it. So that sucked. But all things considered, I think this deck is really powerful, and it was really awesome to get top 32. 25th isn't too shabby to start the season off. A couple of bucks in my pocket. It was a short drive, so not too bad. A box that I probably need to resist myself from cracking. And all in all, that was the ordeal, I think. So thank you guys for watching. And if you are watching, and if you've had any problems with the tournament system software or the pairing software, please go ahead and submit a ticket, because that's what I'm going to be doing. I think it's actually unreal that this could possibly happen. And yeah, I just think it's actually unreal. Like the fact that we have 4 more regionals that's going to use both of these things is actually unreal, and something needs to be done about it. Like bring back Arcane Labs, honestly. Like this sucks. I know the inner workings a little bit better. This sucks. Don't let it happen. If you guys have problems about it, report it, submit a support ticket, write it in the comments below. We'll figure it out together. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Leave a like, subscribe, do the whole deal. At the end of the day, submit a paper deck list so you don't get boned like I almost did. Just submit a paper deck list at these events at the very least, because it's just so stupid. It's just so stupid. This is salty Rahul coming at you after my drive home. Yeah, peace.